The Celtics reportedly want Jrue Holiday, and apparently Jrue Holiday wouldn't be opposed. Leaked sources telling the Miami Herald that Boston is one of Holiday's preferred destinations. Other landing spots that appeal to the All-Star guard include the Heat, Clippers, Lakers, Bulls, and 76ers. Meanwhile, that's all? Meanwhile, the Athletic's Jared Weiss is reporting the Clippers have continued to engage the Celtics in trade talks for Malcolm Brogdon throughout the offseason. The C's nearly traded Brogdon to L.A. back in June in the original Kristaps Porzingis proposal. That caused some bitter feelings from Brogdon as he and the team have both worked to repair their relationship. Let's bring in our Hoops insider, Chris Forsberg, to talk about this situation in Forsberg. Malcolm Brogdon's name, I feel like, is going to continue to come up in trade talks. But how much sense would it make for a three-way trade between the Celtics, the Blazers, and the Clippers right now?
Yeah, the part of it, though, is it comes down to, like, would the Clippers rather walk away with Jrue Holiday if they could go get him than necessarily Malcolm Brogdon? And so it's just going to be a tug of war for Jrue Holiday's services. It's going to come down to what offer can best fit the Blazers' needs long term. You know, that they had to take back Malcolm Brogdon, probably not ideal with the money that's left on his contract another season after this. And yet, like, if you can somehow entice them, whether it's more draft picks than anybody else can offer, whether it's young talent, whatever it has to be, it's going to be interesting to see just how far contenders will extend to go get a Jrue Holiday.
And Phil, you pointed out the laundry list of teams that Jrue Holiday would like to go to. However, we know that toughness from the Celtics team left with Marcus Smart when he went down with the Grizzlies. We continue to talk about where the Celtics would get that toughness from. How much do the Celtics maybe need a Jrue Holiday on this roster?
I don't know if they need him in order to remain contenders. I mean, they're still one of the best teams in the East, whether or not they get him. But I think they should extend to get him. Make sure he doesn't go to Miami. Make sure he doesn't go to the Sixers. The Bucks obviously have upgraded with their duo now that they have there. But I look at him and I'd say he's perfect for the Celtics, because imagine that backcourt with Holiday and Derek White and the ability to switch and the ability to defend on the perimeter, and you have plenty of scoring with your two stars. I think he is an ideal fit. And even if you were to part with a favorite and somebody who gives you size in Al Horford just to make the money work.
Careful, Phil.
I'm sorry, Chris. You got to consider it. And if it were me, I would pull the trigger there.
So I want to give myself a moment to calm down. And
I didn't say Rob Williams. I said Al Horford.
I thought you were going to go with Rob Williams.
Okay. I was just making sure we were on the right track here. And look, even Al for me is difficult. I think people, look, throughout his entire career have undervalued what Al has meant both to this team and, what he's done throughout his career and the defense that he's still bringing. Certainly you look at the age and you're like, how long can this continue? But I would have, whether it's Rob or Al, I have a hard time seeing how this front court functions without them. But just like you said, what's intriguing about Holiday is if you could do it without moving one of those two, or if you had some option to sort of replace some of that big man depth, the defense could be really good. And not only are you getting Jrue, who does what he does, but Derek White was all defense last year. Jayson and Jalen are better defenders than they probably get credit for. And then you have someone roaming that back line who should be pretty good. It would be tough for teams to score against us. And let's face it, when your biggest obstacle is going to be a Damian Lillard, Giannis front line, you better bring some defense to the party.
I look at the teams that Jrue Holiday is interested in, and two of them I look at and I say I wouldn't want him to go there. Miami Heat and also the Sixers. I don't see the Sixers as a real contender, just like Jayson Tatum. But the Miami Heat, I think that would be not the best landing place for the Celtics, because the Miami Heat, they were in the NBA Finals last season. Also Bam Adebayo, Jimmy Butler. You add Jrue Holiday to that mix, I think it could be ugly for the Celtics to get through them this season. But Forsberg, where would be the worst case scenario for Jrue Holiday in terms of the Celtics?
Yeah, it's funny because start of the week we were all like, oh, Damian Lillard, that would be the worst situation if he went to Miami. But no, Jrue would be bad as well, because then they sort of get another very good player. And here's the thing with Miami, like in the buyout market, and like guys are going to get waived midseason. Like I'm already telling you, we're going to have a conversation in like February. We're going to say, is Gordon Hayward going to go join the Miami Heat? And there will be other guys out there that'll join them, and they'll be right in the mix yet again. So I do think it's there. You don't want them to get another superstar type that gives them Bam, Jimmy, and this other player like a Jrue Holiday, because that really keeps them in the mix. And they might not be as sexy on paper as a Boston or as a Milwaukee, but like, look, they're there every year, and you just got to count for it. So it has to be one of the real contenders in the East. And right now, it feels like Philly, Miami, those would be the worst of the landing spots.
Well, with or without Holiday, Jayson Tatum could see more ball handling responsibilities this season. But just how healthy is Tatum? ESPN's Ramona Shelburne revealed Tatum thought he might need surgery on his non-shooting wrist this offseason. After meeting with specialists, he decided to not have surgery. Tatum instead getting a cortisone shot and says his wrist is feeling really good. Any concern there, Forsberg, with Jayson Tatum?
I just don't want to see him holding it throughout the whole season now. And I get it. I think he's even on record saying he doesn't love surgeries. But, man, I don't want to see him go to the basket hard on opening night and then come away clutching that wrist. I really hope the diminished workload this offseason, no USA basketball, all that sort of things, maybe helped him feel a little bit better than it has in recent seasons.
It's another reason why you might want to get Jrue Holiday, though, Amina. Take some of the ball handling responsibilities, away from Tatum. He's got enough on his plate already. You don't want this guy getting banged up. I don't know if you want to start treating him like prime LeBron and have everything flowing through him at all times. Oh,
well, while the Celtics look to trade for Jrue Holiday, one player they traded away this offseason making some news. Grant Williams meeting with the Dallas media today and asked the difference between the Mavericks and the Celtics organizations.
You come in and basically feels like a family. You feel like each one of us is embraced to be authentically ourselves, and it feels organic. Everyone feels very valued, and they make sure not only just the top guys get valued, but through players top to bottom. And it's been really special to be a part of.
I love the flex at
What is he doing?
Oh my God.
A weirdo.
Not just the top players being valued. Forsberg, I feel like that's a little bit of a dig at the Celtics.
Okay, so first off, I totally missed it. And then when producer Cap called and said, "Did you hear that?" And he's got a point. Like, it does sound like he's just gently reminding them, like, the Celtics are going to splurge and pay their two superstars, and they make sure they get all the playing time they needed. And Grant was sort of, didn't get the money and didn't get the playing time. So I do think most of what he said today was buttering up his new employer, and understandably so. Let's check in a couple months and see how the Kyrie experience is going down there. But I did love the flexing after every answer. I don't know who dared him on the team to flex, 47 times, but this in a nutshell is why we'll miss Grant, because there's silly little stupid stuff like this that just takes the edge off a little bit and deflects from everything else he's saying and his craziness. And so I hope Grant has a good time down there in Dallas.
He is a big personality, and I never want to discourage any of the athletes here locally from having big personalities, because it does make our job a little bit easier, a little bit more enjoyable, Chris. But I'm actually on the other end of the spectrum. I find him so annoying. And it has continued now that he's in Dallas. And it's very clear the point he's making value. He's upset that the Celtics weren't able to pay anybody else because they know they have to pay their two big stars. And he's just doing it in a little bit of a childish fashion. So enjoy Dallas. Maybe I'll see him this weekend. I'm headed down to Dallas tomorrow.
Ooh.
I mean, look, it's a situation where you got to pay Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown. They're the superstars here in Boston. All right, the Celtics kick off the new season on Monday with their annual media day, and NBC Sports Boston will have you covered all day long, starting at 10:30 a.m. Head to NBCSportsBoston.com or the all-new NBC Sports Boston app to catch a live stream of exclusive interviews with the players. Mark D'Amico and Amanda Pflugrad from Celtics.com will be joined by NBC Sports Boston analyst Eddie House. Then at 8 p.m. on NBC Sports Boston, I'll be joined by Eddie Scal and Chris Forsberg to review the best interviews of the day and to preview the upcoming season in Celtics Post-Up Media Day edition.